Hi, this is Matthew from A Better World Project, a better world.diy. Today, I would just want to share a little bit about the danger of ideology because I don't hear many people talking about this, understanding this, or applying this knowledge to their lives or to their communities. I remember being forced to stand uh, and put my hand on my heart and pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the Republic, blah, blah, blah. Uh, this was before I understood what a government was. This is just, as a kid in school, maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. This is kind of indoctrination, right? Because if you're asked to believe something that you don't even understand what it is when you're too young to really have critical thinking skills to be able to say, wait a second, does this make sense to me? Does this work for me? Is this something that I agree with? That's indoctrination. And most of the people in any religion on earth are indoctrinated from an age where they're too young to decide. And by the time they get older, this indoctrination has already found its roots deep in the person's psychology and deep in the person's set of beliefs and behaviors and understandings. When I was young, so please excuse me, I'm reading some notes here. Um, we sang songs dedicated to the US government. These songs directly connected some God to the rights of the US government and its citizens to exist. If you invoke the God factor, it's kind of like playing the race card or pulling on some other set of beliefs, set of ideas, set of indoctrination. You pull in God. Hey, who can argue with God? So I guess I better accept that America is the land of the free, the home of the brave, even though it was founded on genocide by criminals. And the land was stolen. Ideologies are a set of beliefs that we refer to consciously or subconsciously, and they drive our behavior. It makes me think about the white supremacists in American South that were lynching Black people. They take an innocent young Black man, accuse him of something, and hang him from a tree. Imagine the pain that the family went through, and imagine the level of ignorance that is required, the level of indoctrination, the kind of sick ideology that would allow people to follow through and do that, murder another innocent human being. Well, they didn't know he was innocent. They didn't care. They never found out. So these people that follow these ideologies, they act like programmed robots, unable to examine why they do what they do, and if it is a humane or logical or even practical set of life rules to follow. And then what brings to mind are soldiers. You're in an environment, you join, okay, these guys, you're hired, you're paid, that's your job. How many people, let's just look at Americans alone. How many Americans are following a set of behavior, whether it's creating bombs to kill innocent people abroad, whether it's creating chemicals that poison our food or poison our crops? There are all kinds of jobs that people do all the time because they're getting paid. And because we have a money-centered culture, we have a money-centered system. It's not based on being humane. It's not based on being compassionate toward others. It's not based upon cooperation and working together. We let people die on the streets by the thousands in America. We walk right past them as they're dying, as they're starving, as they're freezing to death. We don't care. We just want the money so we can buy our house and our cars and raise our kids to be the same thoughtless, inhumane people that we are. People act like programmed robots because of the ideology, and they don't have a part of their brain, or the part of their brain is not developed or it's not accessed that would make them say, stop, wait a second, is this right? Because most people, humanity, the human brain, the human being it has a very large component of just a lemming. There have been experiments that have been done where people do stupid things because everybody else in the room is doing it. Like every time a bell rings, they stand up. People go into an office building, maybe they're waiting for a job interview or is waiting for something else, DMV, whatever. And they do an experiment where everybody in the room knows we're supposed to stand when the bell goes off. So a new person goes in there and then they see, wow, that's what everybody's doing. And then they end up doing it too. So the level of just following what others do without any logic, even doing harmful things like joining the military and going and murdering innocent women and children that aren't even combatants. This is normal. This is what people do. They don't even think about it. They're just indoctrinated by their drill sergeant that says, hey, you're a maggot and you're not allowed to think for yourself. And those guys are the enemy. They're evil and they're going to kill us all, and all kinds of insane, crazy stories. It's indoctrination and it's based upon ideologies. Okay, religion is ideology expressed. So every religion pretty much has a foundation of beliefs, a set of beliefs, dogma that is their ideology. It becomes a cult when the carrot slash stick combination prevents logical thought. So sometimes you'll have just, hey, love your neighbor. That's cool. That's good, right? That's a good thing. But what if it's backed up by some kind of a strong thing like, hey, if you study other religions, you're out, which is what happened to me when I did my 5 year stint in Scientology, or when I did my 5 year stint as a Jehovah's Witness. I've been part of religions, several, more, I think six or seven, that I joined because I wanted to be a good guy. I wanted to find out, how do you be a good person in this world? But each one I had to quit when I found out that it had nothing to do with being a good person. It had something to do with following the ideology, following the cult, and not being able to examine that cult. And when I realized that, I quit. But most people, they don't. Most people, I don't know why. I'm kind of, born with a weird set of the way my brain works is different. And I didn't care about being publicly humiliated. I didn't care about being disowned by my family, my friends. I didn't care about that. Well, what was more important to me was, well, what's the truth and how can I be a positive contributing person on this planet? And if God's going to kill me, so be it. And I challenged God to kill me when on my 25th birthday, when I realized, wait a second, none of these religions are true. And the guilt that I feel is just an emotion of fear. But how can you feel guilty to two or three different gods at the same time? They canceled each other out for me. I realized it wasn't about the truth. It was about indoctrination. You'll always find ideology with government leaders and soldiers. They're indoctrinated with the freedom to murder and steal, or their country could not exist, right? If they didn't have these soldiers out there killing people, dominating, controlling, murdering, stealing their gold and other assets of a country. If you didn't have that, some countries wouldn't exist at all. Well, is every ideology the same? Can we find out by the results? Yes, we can find out by the results by looking at what the results are of that ideology. Does the ideology bring a better world? I would say whatever the ideology of the US government, right now, where they're spending so much money on murdering other innocent people all around the globe with over 700 military bases around the world. I would say that's a kind of a sick, kind of a destructive, an ideology that brings death, that brings horrible results. And when we look at the way Americans are suffering right now, there's so many Americans, especially seniors like myself, are forced to live in mobile homes because they can't afford living in a house with all the expenses of living in a house. So America's really, really going downhill and is being led by a kind of a wild man, kind of a crazy man. And people have ideologies in America, even if they don't agree with the policies of the United States government and the leadership, they don't know what to do about it. Does it follow the golden rule? Does your ideology follow the golden rule that, you know, I only want to do unto others as I would have them do unto me? This is a really important thing. If I don't want to be lynched, maybe I shouldn't lynch somebody else. If I don't want my country to be invaded and my land stolen, maybe I shouldn't do that to other people. If I wanted to be treated with respect, maybe I should treat others with respect. And one of the most important things to understand about this is accountability. If we really have an honest mindset, if we have integrity, we are going to want to be held accountable for the mistakes that we make. And we absolutely have to hold others accountable for the mistakes that they make, whatever that takes. Does the ideology create healthy food? There's, I don't know how many dozen chemicals that are allowed to be put in American food that Europe says, no, those are dangerous. Does your ideology, the ideology of your country, your community, create happy families, safe homes with clean water, and happy babies? That's what we want. That's what we all want. People don't examine how does this stay in place? People don't, they're incapable. They haven't thought about examining their own ideology, who they're paying their taxes to, who they're supporting uh, with their votes. They don't even look at that and think, is this a good thing? Can we change this? Should it be changed? How do we change it? If you can, examine your own ideology and see if it's contributing to a better world or something else.